Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Sonic the Hedgehog here, aka the Blue Blur, aka Blue Justice, and I'm from the likes of the Mexi Toys videos once again. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more Let's Play of Sonic Frontiers for the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X/S, PC Steam, and finally the Nintendo Switch. So, last time, we essentially manage to accomplish not one, but two towers when it comes to climbing. Even though, mind you, we did somehow only come across into one trial, which appears to be Snake's trial. And even though it actually took me about a couple of attempts, off screen by the way, just to ensure for the fact that it doesn't tell us what we're supposed to do until we figured this out all by ourselves. So as a result, and also I somehow invited into, you know what I'm saying, I invited Coco Bandicoot to able to join in for that one of those particular parts. So yeah, hopefully she'll join in for the sake of the forms of the Mexi Toys YouTube channel at some point in the future. So I'm appreciated for the fact that she will definitely join in. So yeah, today for this video is that we're going to be tackling through the next trial.
Lebaisk, Garfa, Daik, Leberg, Birvain Garki, Bask Juarus Milduk, Bandel, Lenuk Teron, Andil, Mingaida.
And maybe, after this particular trial has been concluded, we can pretty much guarantee we can able to actually tackle through the 4th tower. So yeah, let's just go and get started with Tiger's trial. So I wonder what that's going to be all about, huh? So something tells me is that we need to take care of these guys. So I would say that these guys are pretty easy to deal with, especially because since that we've already dealt with them ever since Infinity Forms have been a base game version of Aranos' Island. So even though the fact that no matter what though, they go a lot more faster this time around. So at least thankfully this one is easily without doubt the easiest trial in this entire, well, trial towers so far. Especially concerning for the fact that it doesn't matter what difficulty you select. Although I'm pretty sure for the fact that no matter what though, I can able to actually switch the extreme difficulty. But then again though, I'm probably not going to do that. Because obviously I'll just get butt kicked. And also because of the forms of time constraints. So either way though, thankfully though, we can simply just manage able to deal with this no problem. Despite the fact that we're still on level 1. For those specific trials, as you can definitely tell for the sake of time. But exponentially speaking though, is that we did somehow manage to deal with this part with no damage whatsoever. So I fully appreciate about this particular trial, because obviously this is one of the easiest of the bunch. Unlike the other two, that, you know, sometimes it can help you out for certain hints, but it doesn't tell you what you're supposed to do. But either way, this trial is done.
Jindeus Vaiga, Lezaidu, Guanshi, Gaizandu, Medium, Dadre, Fask, Gai Vice. Then Delgas by device, Ingai Postus, Len Lanfertar, Boys Store.
And now the 4th tower has been activated, so that means we'll pretty much get able to focus on that particular tower from now on. And I believe after we're done with that particular 4th trial tower, is that I think something tells me we're about to switch back onto, I would say Amy, and then eventually Knuckles and Tails all over again. Just in case we can able to actually get the next 3 Chaos Emeralds. Although something tells me is that I believe maybe Dr. Eggman is once again up for the 7th and the final Chaos Emerald. So just like the forms of how it does on the base game, I'm pretty sure. So even then though, the actual plot device, it might be a little bit unchanged for obtaining the 7th and the final Chaos Emerald. So just in case we can able to take on the main threat of what's causing it. So anyway, so while I'm at it though, I'll gonna go ahead and activate those cyberspace segments here, although I'm probably not going to do that right now until whenever I decided to, especially because, well, exponentially speaking, I need to take care of quite a number of things, potentially speaking. So anyways though, a few things I want to explain for this point today is that, well, today's date of course here is the 11th of October today, in some cases in 2023 today. Naturally speaking though, is that, well, happy 26th birthday to Maxty himself. Now as a result, he actually got himself quite a number of gifts today, which as a result, he only got one game, and also he did manage to able to got himself two DVD compilations, or to be more specifically, one brand new DVD which just came out for about a month ago, as well as the compilation movie collection, as well as the forms of not only one, but also two Amiibo figures, and one specific action figure to able to make as a cool little nice display. Like, first of all, he got himself the Mission Impossible 6 movie collection. To be more specifically, that it did originally came out in 2018. Although he was originally trying to able to get the actual movie compilation of Mission Impossible, specifically the 6 movie collection based off from the 2023 re-release, to go alongside with the actual release of the forms of the big screen version of, well, to be more specifically, the cinema experience of Dead Reckoning Part 1, but as it turns out, he doesn't really like the actual official artwork of, to be more specifically, with the 2023 re-release version of the 6th movie collection of Mission Impossible series. So, understandably so, because he loves the actual, cool artwork for the sake of the forms of the front cover, especially concerning for the fact that he's obviously more into the forms of cool you know, front covers as far as DVD covers alike, so I could possibly understand why. And exponentially is that we've only just got about 1 month left until you know what I mean, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 is about to be released on DVD and Blu-ray at some point until next month. So I would expect that we might able to actually pre-order that at some point alongside with the forms of WarioWare Move It and Super Mario RPG Remake on the Switch. So we can pretty much guarantee we can able to actually pre-order those 3 things combined into one during the forms of in November release schedule. So beneath that note, that's pretty top-notch all things considered, even though I must say I still really enjoy Mission Impossible 6 Fallout, because obviously that is by far the best installment in terms of the forms of the Fallout series, the Mission Impossible film series. I keep thinking about the forms of the game series, because I've definitely heard about them, but I've never actually played any of them. But I do know for certain, for one thing, presumably speaking, that it's definitely more accurately, it does have a My Little Pony reference somewhere around here. Well, mind you, I haven't exactly looked upon that much of My Little Pony references for quite some time. So, in the next gift that he got, which appears to be, of course, Fast and Furious 10, or to be more specifically, Fast X for short. So, yeah, no explanations for this point right there. It's just about the fact that we did somehow manage to able to finally caught up for the Fast and Furious film movie collection, apart from one in particular exception to this, which appears to be a spin-off movie, which did originally came out in 2019, because obviously it's just about the fact that we just love to able to collect the numbered installments of the actual, the Fast and Furious movies, as far as I'm usually concerned with. Even though sure about the fact that the actual movie itself is just, it feels a bit mixed bag for any other audiences out there, especially concerning for the fact that they're just getting sick of the forms of reviving certain characters or anything else like that, for I've heard of anyway, despite the fact that that film did came out 5 months ago, so usually for Fast and Furious 10 to be more specific. And also it's just about the fact that we now need to wait for about another 2 years for the sake of the forms of one of those multiple parters, for the sake of the forms of Fast and Furious 10 storyline, as far as I'm concerned, which gets a bit ridiculous, and it also kind of feels a bit redundancy. Well, it might makes it a little bit more sense, I guess, for the sake of the forms of the runtime, but I have no idea how do I explain about any of those things. But even then though, because again, I'm probably not going to spoil things too much because obviously Fast and Furious 10 already came out, as I said before, since 5 months ago. So, anyway though, and the next gift that we somehow got, which appears to be by the forms of not only 1, but 2 amiibos based off from Super Smash Bros. Lineup, and those are Simon Belmont, based off from Castlevania, because it seems very obvious because we keep on playing some Castlevania stuff for the time being, although we still need to able to consider trying to tackle through Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse for this weekend, so we can pretty much expect for the fact that we're able to stay tuned for that. And on top of all that stuff though, we somehow finally managed able to obtain ourselves the final Zelda-based amiibo from the likes of the Super Smash Bros. Lineup. That's what appears to be Young Link, which as a result, I'm very happy about that. Especially, I was originally trying to expect to actually wish for Pichu amiibo, as well as the forms of any other amiibos I could possibly think about, like King K. Rool, but dear lord, those amiibos are disgustingly expensive, even for brand new sealed the brand new sealed boxed variants of certain amiibos. So, yeah, that's why we attempt able to go after, not only for the sake of the forms of Simon Belmont, but also Young Link. Although, I was expecting to try to get Richter Belmont amiibo, but we haven't exactly gone around to Castlevania Rondo of Blood just yet. Mainly also, we'll able to actually get around into that at some point during the forms of next year, if some time. So, yeah, we're going to be able to wait for that, unfortunately. So, but regardless of such though, both of those amiibos, man, they are so cool. Especially with Simon Belmont and Young Link especially, because like I said before, we actually got every single Super Smash Bros. Zelda character lineup for the amiibo department. Although I'm still missing one last amiibo based off from the Super Mario Bros. Lineup, for the sake of the forms of Super Smash Bros. Based off from. That's what appears to be, of course, Piranha Plant, but then again though, it is disgustingly expensive so far. So, but at least on the upside is that next year we're about to be getting ourselves Sora at the very least, so that should be a excitement thing. Or should I say it will be pretty exciting, especially I can finally able to actually obtain the Sora amiibo figure, so that I can able to use that for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate only. So, yeah, you get the idea for this point. So, and on top of that, we did somehow manage to able to get ourselves the glorious action figure for the sake of the forms of the Sonic the Hedgehog lineup, which appears to be Ray the Flying Squirrel. So I'm sure that Ray will be pretty happy that he actually got himself the actual figure of himself. So as a result, I'm pretty sure that Ray the Flying Squirrel has obviously been placed right next to Mighty the Armadillo for our figures collection. So yeah, that should be pretty awesome. And I believe it comes with the red Chaos Emerald, as far as I'm usually concerned with. Well, relatively speaking though, I was expecting to try to able to get myself the actual realistic version of the Chaos Emeralds for its display. But unfortunately though, it seems about the fact that usually I'm going to have to save up. So that's essentially how I was going to be thinking about this anyway. So I guess that's something, I suppose. So anyways though, and I suppose the last thing that we did somehow got during the forms of the Maxi's birthday, because as a result we now 26 years old. So but even then though, and that will have to be one game in particular, and that's we actually got ourselves yet another copy of Mario Power Tennis for the Game Boy Advance. Specifically, this time around though, we got the genuine version of it. Because long story short is that we used to have, for the sake of the forms of, well, let's just say, back in 2010, as a matter of fact, while Mario and I would say Daffy Duck most notably, they both managed to went onto the Cyprus vacation back in 2010, and as a result, they somehow come across into the actual copy of Mario Tennis Mario Tennis Power Tour for the Game Boy Advance. And as it turns out, is about the fact that whatever they did manage to able to got the game for the sake of the forms of the Cyprus game store somewhere. Now, as it turns out, is that we actually ended up getting the actual PAL European ROM cartridge, which as a result, it does manage to contain a title of Mario Power Tennis for the Game Boy Advance. Even though it does manage to work for the most part until this year happened in 2023, where our save battery life is somehow dead, which means we've lost everything. We've lost every single leveling up status for the sake of the forms of these two playable characters in story mode, and as well as from that, we've lost every single unlockable characters, and also we've lost pretty much everything. So as a result, yeah, that's the reason why we no longer house the actual Cypress version of that particular game cartridge of Mario Power Tennis for the Game Boy Advance. So that's the reason why we've now got the actual replacement for that. So that means we don't need to worry about the forms of modification. Mind you, I haven't exactly tested this out just yet though, because usually, relatively speaking, I'm still currently playing for Sonic Frontiers as of now. And in addition to that though, is about the fact that hopefully we were able to actually prepare ourselves for the next couple of days time, for the next coming days, for the sake of the forms of not only for 6 days time, but eventually 9 days time for both, you know, Sonic Superstars and Super Mario Bros. Wonder. So I'm still incredibly hyped about those, both of those games at the same time. So, but even then though, still, it's incredibly weird of how the fact that both of those games came out in exactly the same week as each other. Well, thus with the forms of Spider-Man 2 for the PlayStation 5, but that's besides the point. So, anyways though, so yeah, I'm very happy about the forms of the actual gifts so far, especially because, relatively speaking though, it's just about the fact no matter what though. The trouble is though, that since originally we were expecting to able to get ourselves the forms of, well, let's just say Mario's P-Cross for the Game Boy, but I have no luck to able to actually find the European cartridge version of that game. Although, all you get is just the Japanese version and the American version. Now, for what I've heard, that the American physical cartridge version of that particular game of Mario's Picross is actually ridiculously expensive. So as a result, that I think I might as well give it a pass. Although I was expecting to try to get the Japanese version of Mario's Picross for the Game Boy, but I just don't feel like able to go for that. So, but even then, maybe I could possibly able to actually do that particular Let's Play of Mario's Picross at some point in the future, next to Mario's Super Picross for the Super Famicom. Although, let me know in the comments down below if you want me to able to tackle for both of those games in particular. So, but even then, no, that'll be a discussion for later time. So, also I just realized this tower is going to be pretty hellish to climb through, especially because not only is it going to be filled to the brim with a lot of leaps of faith, but thankfully, as soon as you're able to actually activate most of those switches anyway, at the very least that you don't have to reset the entire progress, so at least that's a good thing. But it's just that this particular part always feels a bit super finicky to able to time with, even though, assuming of course, if we try to able to be lucky enough, and try to able to actually homing attack onto this particular thing, and I think something tells me we can probably able to progress somewhere. Oh, there we go. So at least there's a spring right there, so yeah, I can totally see why about the fact that a lot of players get a lot of like rage quits for the sake of the forms of this particular segment. So, but then again though, it is ridiculously tall compared to the forms of how it does it in Rural Island, but still, it's just there for the sake of the ultimate challenge, I guess. So, and it seems that we've almost done here, so it's just about the fact that we've only got the last spiral rail grinding right there, and soon enough we're able to make our way to the next trial. So let's see how this brings us into.
Guess there's a surprise 4th Titan after all. In the vision I saw, you lost to the enemy when you sealed it in your Titan. How are you here?
The Dao Poryuk, the Dig Letunk, Zand Baiza, Anjink Bork Kara, Duke, Jurinda Dudo.
Alright, so we're about to tackle through the 4th trial, and this time we're going to be able to, I would say, we're about to take on the only Guardian junior forms of the Trial Tower, which appears to be in the forms of Crane's Trial. So, I wonder how tough that can be, although I'm pretty sure for the fact that he might actually move at ridiculously fast speeds. So, yeah, I will try my best if I don't get hit so many times with this ninja Guardian right here. So I'm sure enough that we'll pretty much guarantee we're able to actually kick his butt during the involves of that quick time, quick time reaction. So, anyways though, speaking of which though, is apart from the fact that I'm pretty certain that we actually onto the halfway point in terms of the story progression for the sake of the forms of the Final Horizon DLC update. Although, then again though, it might take a bit of a very long while to able to get to this point, especially because it might actually consider this to be the longest Let's Play we could possibly be able to tackle through for the entire The Mexi Toys community channel, or to be more specifically, in terms of the entire The Mexi Toys YouTube channel so far. Well, don't get your hopes up at this point just yet though, because obviously there's still more things to come, so even then, I'm pretty sure we're pretty much done with this particular trial.
10だグルーデンガルファレッグリューデブレンザイクサンレデュワイファンクレホワンシュピューレレダーウィンスダザイクレバルシュティガルケギュエンダインダンクショザバイレビーレバンガイスンミュークレデュロレバリューキルエンリューガミニューThem, Dergas by device. Thanks shots and wipe. Galsa, Galfa Kara.
Whew. It worked. I feel like my old self again.
Excellent. Now we must go to the one who can forge that energy into a new power.
No time to lose.
Sky. It's corrupting everything on the island, even the cocoa.
I won't stand for it.
Guys, focus. Knuckles needs to weaken that thing's hold on the emeralds, and Tails needs to break them free. I'll handle the cocoa. I have a feeling they'll be crucial to the plan. You will not harm this world! I won't allow it!
So yes, we're about to take control of Amy Rose once again, so presumably speaking to able to do the same usual objectives as the Forms of Power does it since the first time around. So of course we still need able to talk to not only Elder Coco, but eventually Hermit Coco, and eventually we'll get ourselves the next Chaos Emerald. So, and yeah, not much else explanations for the sake of time. It's just about the fact that it seems kind of weird that we're about to be going back into its downgraded leveling system for certain characters, as far as playable characters as far as I'm concerned. But sometimes though it takes a bit of time to get used to, like I said before, so but even then. Oh yeah, let's talk about something related to the My Little Pony stuff for the time being, as far as what technically Luigi has already addressed about this, ever since in Luigi's Mansion Let's Play so far. Although mind you, that he recently did manage able to complete everything from Area 2, so he's now going to be moving on to Area 3. So, yeah, generally speaking though, he actually get a lot of progressioning for Luigi's Mansion very, very fast, especially concerning for the fact that obviously Luigi's Mansion might not be the biggest game in the series, up until likely also for Luigi's Mansion 2 and 3, both of which are going to be the most biggest games of the series. So, but I'm sure we'll get around into those games at some point during 2024 and 2025 respectively for both Luigi's Mansion 2 and Luigi's Mansion 3. So, but still, I'm very appreciative for the fact that the Switch version now actually exists anyway, so that way we can finally get a chance to doing Luigi's Mansion 2, as we pretty much asked for that so many times in the past. Like, we've already on about that so many times. So let's not get ahead of ourselves at this point, guys. So, anyway, so let's go ahead and get ourselves some more skill points for Amy, so just in case we can able to actually learn some more moves and all that stuff. And, yeah, you get the idea for that point. So yeah, let's talk about the forms of how the fact that obviously Luigi has already been addressed something, is that, can you believe it's usually, relatively speaking, when it comes to something related to the My Little Pony stuff, for the sake of the forms of mobile smartphone devices, somehow it does manage to contain not 1, but 12 games. Well, to be more specifically, I would say 9 of them based off from G4, and 3 of them based off from G5. So as a result, they do have, you know, as I said before, 12 games included, like all 12 of them so far. So those are obviously My Little Pony Harmony Quest, which for those of you probably wondering, we already did that game ever since in 2018. Jeez, it's been 5 years ago since we've last played Harmony Quest in our channel, which as a result, despite the fact that it might be a bit weird to able to tackle for the game based off on the girl's product. Although, to be fair though, of course, we are the bronies, so yeah, get used to it. So, because of that though, yeah, you get the idea for that point. I honestly have no idea why I say that like so many times. But anyway, and there's also My Little Pony Rainbow Runners, which we also tackle for that. I was expecting to able to do a redo playthrough of the game at some point, because for one noticeable thing, or actually multiple reasons actually, I feel like that the entire music background for that particular game just sounds a bit generic for my taste, and on top of all that stuff though, it's just about the fact that I'm just not too pleased about the forms of our views count. So maybe we will do at some point by that time, until whenever we get to the 5th anniversary of the celebration of the release of Rainbow Road Trip special as far as G4 related goes. So that's what I was expecting for the sake of time for the predictions or anything else like that, so let me know in the comments down below. So, and there's also My Little Pony Magical Princess, which is of course the main attraction to the G4 selections of games for the sake of the forms of something mobile gaming related, which despite the fact that it's filled to the brim with microtransactions, as you probably already expect. But aside from all that stuff though, I have decided able to take a break and even stop playing that game for a long time, mainly because I actually got quite a lot of content, and on top of all that stuff though, I think getting those new characters and buildings are super ridiculously to obtain, because obviously it does need to require a lot of busy work, and especially noticeable, you need to acquire to able to actually utilize real life money to able to buy a lot of stuff. I mean seriously, this is just ridiculous. So yeah, that's essentially how the reason why I'm pretty much stopped playing My Little Pony Magical Princess game, because as far as I can tell, I honestly prefer the show over the likes of the actual game itself. Although don't get me wrong, it's a nice distraction for brony community out there, but it's just that I haven't touched that game since, which as a result, because I just have nothing else to be able to actually think about this for the sake of time, so, but I digress. And there's also My Little Pony World, which is obviously the, I would say it's the first game to be released to go alongside with the forms of, let's just say G5 related. So that could be something, I suppose, even though it's made by the same developer as not only, Harmony Quest, but also Rainbow Runners as well. So that's something, I suppose. And, there's also the forms of My Little Pony main merch, as far as based off from G5 as far as this is concerned. So yeah, nothing else to say about this, I guess. So anyways though, and there's also My Little Pony Pocket Ponies, which fun fact, I was originally able to tackle for that game back in Journey Evolves Event 2019, but unfortunately though, that particular playthrough is just being cancelled due to struggles with our capture phone recording footage. So yeah, I can totally understand for the fact that sometimes technical difficulties decides to come into play, and there's also My Little Pony Friendship Celebration, which appears to be like a Mario Party version of My Little Pony, but it's just the fact that no matter what though, I'm pretty sure that particular game is unplayable in the latest, you know, iPhones or even iPads included. So my guess is going to be most likely designed for iPads in mind, just because, well, for one noticeable thing, you can able to actually set up your, you know, the tea party and all that stuff, which I know sounds a bit weird for saying this. Anyways, there's also Equestria Girls, which I have no comments on that. And there's also My Little Pony Equestria Girls story editor, as far as I'm usually concerned with that stuff. And also they've got My Little Pony Color by Magic, which is all about just coloring your pictures in order to able to progress. So nothing special in particular. So, and there's also My Little Pony Diary. Okay, that's interesting. And the final one, which appears to be Virtual Magic, which is obviously based off from G5 after all. So yeah, I've got no comments there, especially because, like I said before, I'm not a big fan of G5, I must be honest here. Well, aside from the fact that the movie itself is pretty good, well, despite the story feels a bit retconned to begin with. Although, still, I found the visuals on that particular movie still looks pretty spectacular, especially that was the first time ever, you know, they're on the 3D animation, so, for its time anyway, so. Anyways though, oh yeah, something tells me we need to deal the insane amount of damage to this particular punching device, although I don't think it's possible we can able to succeed for this as Amy, so I believe Sonic is the only one who can able to do this job, so. Although I was expecting to able to try to tackle that for Knuckles, but still I need to able to increase my attack level, so. And also, I don't suppose you would notice, but I do apologize for the point for the fact that once again we've come across into another technical issue, which appears to be the same thing as before. Likely also, my microphone decides to glitch out again, so yeah, I definitely need to fix that at some point, presumably until this Friday. Oh gee, I just realized that this Friday is going to be the Friday the 13th, so that means it's the unlucky day. So as a result, the last time we actually come across into Friday the 13th, in taking place in Journey Evolves in October, is, presumably speaking, that was in 2017, believe it or not. So yeah, it seems pretty insane that it's been about 6 years since we actually come across into Friday the 13th in October month. So yeah, it's pretty insane if you ask me. So anyways though, also I did manage to able to continue watching some more Treehouse of Horror episodes for The Simpsons, which this time around I did somehow manage to able to watch not only the Treehouse of Horror 17, but also 18, 19, and 20. So as a result, I'm almost there to able to actually wrap things up everything for the Treehouse of Horror episodes, which, all in all, I really managed to able to actually decide able to enjoy some of these segments. Like, as a result, we're now on to 60 stories so far for the sake of the Evolves of the Treehouse of Horror episodes, although maybe I may be wrong, because I keep on thinking about let's just say the next episode I'm about to be watching at some point for the Treehouse of Horror episodes for The Simpsons, but even then no. Speaking of which though, it's apart from the fact that I've recently managed able to wrap things up everything for watching every single episode of Torchwood, so I'll get my final thoughts of it and during at some point on Friday. So also concerning the fact that I won't be able to actually mention any of those you know, spoilers for the time being, so I just want to keep things a little bit more interesting for your own perspectives or something like that. You know what I found is a little bit weird is that, you know what, the fact that it's insane for the fact that The Simpsons is now on to the 35 seasons so far. Although, despite the fact that the amount of episodes they're about to be getting is still pretty much 20 plus episodes, Journey Evolves of that particular season, much like the Evolves of how it does it on the previous seasons. So, again, it's pretty insane if you ask me, especially because, well, the only one in particular exception to this, though, that is, of course, Season 1, because obviously Season 1 has the lesser amount of episodes, so, whilst in Season 2 and onwards, including by the forms of Season 35, that, my god, there are so many, 20-plus episodes or something like that, so... yeah, it's pretty insane, after all. Especially, I still haven't get a chance to able to see, you know what I'm saying, with not only the majority of, Season 34, but also with Season 35. But, even then, though, let me know in the comments down below for the question of the day. What was your first impressions of the films of seeing certain episodes for the sake of the films of Season 35 for The Simpsons? So, I would like to hear your thoughts about it. So... and also something tells me I go all the way back onto this particular location again because I accidentally managed able to, like... this is where things gets really stingy sometimes. It's that every time whenever you do manage to learn the next move, sometimes though, if you get to that certain point of this particular progression, as you can tell, sometimes though we have to rely on the forms of some very stingy checkpoints. So... yeah, I just have no words to able to think about this. So, but luckily though, the entire journey is not that far from here though. It's just you have to able to time yourselves in order to able to get the cannon into its correct angle. So just in case you can able to, presumably speaking, that way I think we've almost there to the next Chaos Emerald. So, just have to able to make our way to the very top of this particular tower right here, or to be more specifically a tower of blocks. So we can potentially try to able to actually just make our way up there. So, although I was expecting to able to try and able to learn this very cool technique where you can simply just try and able to perform a stomp. But either way, though, I'm probably not going to risk it too much. So, but even then, though, oh, wait a second. I keep thinking about something else because we did somehow found Hermit Coco instead. So, whoops. Again, because of how the fact that it's been about 2 days ago since I actually have last played this, and also it's been a very long while since we've last played as Amy Rose, or to be more specifically, Cyber Amy as a matter of fact, and let's just go ahead and level up our attack as well as defense for Amy. It seems that we actually got quite a lot of defense actually, for Amy anyway. But hopefully we're able to get around into more side content until whatever we've done with the forms of some story progression. So, but then again though, we have no idea when this particular true experience of the ending of Sonic Frontiers is about to end. But then again though, it might take a very long time to able to get certain progression going, especially because you have to go for this stuff. So, anyways though, oh yeah, speaking of which though, is apart from the fact that recently I've managed able to look upon the forms of the updated sales, or to be more specifically, the updated box office performance so far, it seems that, again, both Barbie and especially noticeable with Oppenheimer, they both are still continuing for the box office department. So, even though it's kind of unfortunate for the fact that, unfortunately though, Mid-Dead Retconning Part 1 box office departments just come to a halt, or in some cases they've now go into a complete stop. So, unfortunately though, the Little Mermaid live-action movie just somehow beaten the Mission Impossible Dead Retconning Part 1 box office. So, honestly, that really does suck to me, because I really do enjoy, you know what I'm saying, with Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 after all, especially because I'm really looking forward to Part 2 for next year, so that's saying something, I guess. So, and usually, relatively speaking, though, it's just about the fact that at least it gets onto the top 10 best box office records so far for that particular film in mind. So, at least Barbie is still on top. So, but even then, though, yeah, it's pretty insane, you know? Oh yeah, one of the subjects for this matter though is that recently, not only are we able to actually get one brand new release date for the upcoming game, but also another game as well that's also been confirmed for its release date too. And it could be something related to one of those indie developers made by Bahamut, which, you know, who also made the forms of Castle Crushers, including the remastered version of the game. So, relatively speaking though, is that both Alien Hominid, including Alien Hominid Invasion, are both about to be coming out in exactly the same day, which as a result is going to be releasing until the 1st of November. So, yeah, that seems pretty cool, especially concerning for the fact that we're about to be getting two Alien Hominid games all on exactly one day. So, yeah, that seems pretty cool, especially concerning that we were able to get not only Alien Hominid Invasion, which I think is like a brand new game or something like that, and on top of that, there's also the HD version of the original Alien Hominid as well, so yeah, that seems pretty cool, especially because, although, despite the fact that I've never actually played Alien Hominid before, but I definitely heard about the game for some time ago when you used to play that game during the phones of certain computers in the past, or maybe that's a possibility or something like that. Well, that's why I was going to be thinking about this anyway, but even then, no, it's just one of those old days when it comes to remembering certain things alike, but even then, no, that's saying something, I suppose, so... And also, certain challenges like this is going to be super ridiculously tough. Like, for instance, we're now going to be experiencing some tough platforming skills we have to able to navigate through. Oh geez, we can't afford to able to actually get on the exactly same platform, I just realized. So we have to able to go one by one within that particular blue platform we need to able to get into. So, yeah, it feels like it does kind of reminds me like I was playing Super Mario Sunshine after all, with, very, 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 very tricky platforming here and there, but, and at the same time though, that could be also applied for the sake of the forms of capitalist missions for Super Mario Odyssey as well. So, but even then, that, speaking of which though, is that a lot of people keep on asking for the fact that when it comes to like a brand new 3D Mario is about to be releasing at some time, that it might potentially try to able to release the new 3D Mario game alongside with the brand new Switch 2 as a launch title, which as a result we have no idea how to be able to actually just trying to able to think that's going to be finalized for this idea, but I'm sure it might be interesting though, because it will be a pretty nice homage to the of course the Nintendo 64, since in Super Mario 64 back in 1996. So I mean, it would be pretty cool though if we were able to actually get ourselves a launch title for a 3D Mario game since the Nintendo 64, so as a result that would be a cool idea, along with the forms of the Nintendo DS as well for Super Mario 64 DS, so, but even then though, that'll be a topic for a later time, mainly also for 2024 and 2025 and maybe beyond, I guess? Although then again though, we'll explain more details about that particular topic in a future time, so... Oh jeez, how long is this gonna take? Although, conveniently enough though, because as I said this before, although it looks like we might able to actually stumble across into, oh jeez, yeah, definitely gonna have to be able to use Amy for this challenge, because with Sonic, it will be a pretty tough thing to do, and maybe Knuckles will have a hard time with it, and as for Tails though, it could probably work out, but it's just about the fact that, well, you have to able to be super steady with the actual acceleration while flying, so... But either way, Amy Rose is the good way to able to pick as her for one of those challenges like this one, so... Anyway, so let's grab the Seed of Defense and grab some more skill points, just in case if we decided able to actually unlock the next skill. And we can pretty much guarantee we can able to get ourselves the glorious next Chaos Emerald.
This is what Sonic was suffering from. Handling the Coco is affecting me the same way. Well, too bad. They need me. I won't give up.
Hey kid, focus. We aren't done yet.
I know. I'm sorry. It's just... This was my big moment to prove myself. But I don't think I can do it.
Then ask for help. Heck, even Sonic asked us to pick up his slack this time. What do you need me to do?
I think our opponent has repurposed the constructs to bolster the distortion's defensive measures. In other words, keep smashing things, and I can start accessing cyberspace again.
I like the direct approach. You can count on me.
And now we're gonna be taking control of Knuckles right here. Even though, unfortunately though, as I said before, I do apologize if my commentary gets a bit glitched up. So hopefully I'll try to fix that at some point in this Friday coming up. Which, seriously, I'm getting so sick of the forms of those microphone glitches these days. Which, it might be something to do with the input lag. Likely also that the time has been skipped over. For one of those seconds in particular, that could be of a possibility. So, yeah, I definitely need to fix that. So, anyway, so I don't think it's possible for me to able to actually get the next Chaos Emerald for Knuckles, but definitely in this Friday for sure, that we will guarantee to able to actually do quite a number of things. Even though I was expecting to able to try to do some side content here and there, but I think, suffice to say, I think we should probably end things off at this point right here. So, yeah, join me next time for more Let's Play of Sonic Frontiers. It's that we're about to able to play as Knuckles the Echidna, or specifically Cyber Knuckles, to do quite a number of things, like destroying the Impact thing, and hopefully we'll get ourselves the next Chaos Emerald, and pretty much self-explanatory stuff here and there. So, I'll see you guys until on Friday. Later, fellas.